New Aphotic Realm announcement. Submission windows for upcoming issues. Issue 10, the theme is justice. That's hard-boiled fiction with a supernatural twist. The deadline for that will be April 1st, 2020. Issue 11, the theme is kaiju, giant monsters terrorizing civilization. Deadline will be October 1st, 2020 for those stories. Issue 12, the theme is lycanthropy, which is, of course, self-explanatory. It can be any type of animorph with a bloody twist. So I guess that's werewolves and Jesus, giant, I don't know. What do people turn into? Seals? I've just got a little seal on my desk, so I thought of that. I don't know. You'll have to be more imaginative than I just was. But the deadline for lycanthropy, January 1st, 2021. Good luck to everyone submitting.
I wrote this thing. I hope you like it. Let's talk about it, yeah. Let's lose track. Losing the Plot Podcast. Losing the Plot Podcast. Losing the Plot Podcast. Talking to Leo.
Today I'm talking to the Aphotic Realm team, which is AA Medina, Dustin, Charlotte Yoke, and Associate Editor Chris Martin. We have a great chat about what's been going on at Aphotic Realm, the latest updates, Medina's new book, what everyone's been writing. I learn about Dungeons and Dragons, which is fun. It was a great chat, and I hope you enjoy it. As always, if you're a reader, writer, listener, whatever, if you want to get in touch with me for any reason, you can always do so using losingtheplotpodcast-at-gmail-dot-com, and I look forward to hearing from you. But that's enough for me. Here's the episodes.
How have you been?
Fantastic as always, no complaints. It's getting lighter here in Norway. Got a cat like a month ago.
Saw the headshot.
No one will let me practice taking photos of them, so it's just photos of my cat. Which I go to this photography club and they were just like, "Yeah, I don't think people should bring in photos of their cats anymore." And I was like, "Who's that directed to?" Like, it's got to be me.
Thanks.
So,
jeez.
I don't know. Getting in the neck about, that's not fair.
Ganged up on, man.
Yeah, I know. I guess no, I'm still in Stavanger, but I've got like a desk, a full office here in the corner, so it's nice. Feeling professional.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
what are you guys doing?
Good. It's winter's over in Arizona. It's already like 85 degrees.
Yeah, we just
Fahrenheit. So
just skip spring.
Yeah, we don't have a spring. It goes from cold to you can go in the swimming pool. We're both wearing shorts and flip flops. So welcome to the desert, right?
Ah, that's great. Yeah, but you've got a pool.
I got a pool, but I mean, 2-3 months it's going to be 125 degrees Fahrenheit. The pool's going to be 90 degrees, so it's just like lukewarm water. Yeah.
Go over to Adrian's and have a communal bath.
Yeah, it's just it's like an old Greek bathhouse. Just
Have everyone bring a thing of ice from the gas station, and then you dump it in the pool.
That's a good idea, because it's not a big pool. And when we had our housewarming party, there's like 20 people in the pool, and it just, after about 2 hours, it was just like the body heat. It was just gross. Like, we'd get in the pool after a couple of beers, we'd be like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like the pool filter's running overtime.
Yeah.
Cheers for coming over, everyone.
Exactly, pretty much.
Get the hell out of the pool so it can cool off.
It was like one of those generic 90s, early 2000s high school movies where, like, I woke up the next morning, there's just beer cans or cigarette butts in my pool. I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's already bad enough cleaning after a party except having a pool. And you're like, fuck.
Chris, am I right that like the three of you went to like university together?
I did not.
He did not.
You didn't? Okay. I
Did
figured
not.
you were. Okay. So how do you two know each other?
He was introduced to me through a mutual friend of ours to actually start playing Dungeons and Dragons together.
Nice.
And I guess it was a year or two after that you mentioned Aphotic Realm to me.
Yeah, because he was the dungeon master, and just
Mhm.
through and chit chatting before and after during games, he was a creative writing. He wrote a lot of fantasy, read a lot of fantasy. I mean, on par with being a dungeon master, kind of. You get into that world, you
Yeah.
know. And it's kind of like, well, do you want to? And you were going to what, the community college down the street,
Glendale Community.
taking
College.
classes on creative writing and stuff. And I was like, well, if you want to keep going, I was like, you can, proofread for us and see where it goes. And now we're here. So
Nice. That's awesome. It's like I think that most of the best, like, I don't know, creative decisions or like working together is just through like random chat that wasn't related to anything professional. Just kind of go, oh wait, you could do that,
oh, exactly. I mean, like, he was going to school for it already. And it's like, well, if you want to just dive into the world that Dustin and I are figuring out right now, too. I mean, he only lives down the street from me. So Dustin lives across the country.
Right.
So it's like, three heads are better than one. And at least one I can slap because I'm just kidding.
I'll slap that.
Technically, I mean,
Yeah. He's bigger than me. He's got about a foot on me. So,
yeah. Dustin, how are you doing?
Not too bad, trying to keep up with the day job and family and all that. But, hanging in there. That's about it. I'm pretty boring.
That's good. I Skype with my brother maybe once a quarter, and he said like, when I see you next, I'm going to have read a whole bunch of stuff that we can talk about because I don't do anything. And I was like, that's a great plan. So
I have done a bunch of reading so far this year, all audiobooks, but because I have a long commute to my day job, so that's pretty much the only way I get reading done. If it's not business Aphotic Realm related, then I don't read. It's all audiobooks. So, lots of fantasy, like Dresden Files. I started reading some of that. The Longmire series. Did you ever watch that on Netflix or anything? It's Western fantasy stuff. It's fun. Yeah, just stuff like that. Read a couple Star Wars books.
Don't even get Chris started on Dresden Files.
Never done it.
Oh, what's the one with the drow guy?
Oh, that's Forgotten Realms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you mention
Dungeons and Dragons.
something like that, he'll just tell you the whole, he'll go all Tolkien on you. Recite the Silmarillion to you.
Turn red.
That's cool. You guys been reading anything good? Adrian and Chris?
Me, I have Balls Deep and the novella submissions.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I have about 2 left of the first chapters that of everyone's manuscripts to read.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be the process of narrowing it down to like the top 10 to request the full manuscripts. So, but how, I mean, at least with me, it's like if I spend a day reading submissions, like the last 2 or 3 I read, I'm already kind of like worn out. So I have to I'm going to go back and reread the ones that I don't feel I gave proper attention to if I was like, after hour 5 of reading stuff or.
Yeah. By the end, you're just like, guys, there's enough books. Stop, just cut it out. Have you seen how many books there are? Jesus Christ,
Well, it's to be fair. It's like, is it really not interesting me, or am I just burned out of reading submissions today, and I want to give it the fresh eyes and the excitement of going back into it instead of just kind of, because I don't want to miss out on something that's really good just because my headspace is like, I got other shit I got to do right now. Let's get this. I don't want to just rush it. You know what I mean? So.
I absolutely. Do you know? I just read this book. I've got it here. Have you ever read any Dennis Cooper before?
No, I have not.
This guy is insane. I was like, you can't write that. Like, but the thing is, like, see if you do. Like, who's ever going to cancel Dennis Cooper? It's like he knows what he's doing. If it's almost like armor against that kind of that kind of thing. If you're just like, look, I'm just going to ignore the waves of change and just do my own thing, and people just accept that. I don't know. I think maybe I'm well, it's my podcast. I can ramble. That's the point of it. But like, there's a lot of sensitivity towards what's getting published nowadays, right? And yet at the same time, there's all this like wild, extreme stuff getting published. I just don't understand if it's not finding the readers who would be offended by it, or I don't know what's going on.
I think it's like I don't know if it's the whole stick to your guns thing. And then you carve out that persona for yourself. Like if you're going to write crazy shit and there's going to be that small group that respects it, if they see you waver when everybody else is telling you like it's too extreme or whatever, you might lose that core fan base or that core following and then be like, oh, he kind of softened up. It's all about, that's how I feel. I mean, at least with like if you want to compare it to like metal bands, like they get extreme and some people are like, it's a little too much. And then they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're going to go even harder next album. We're not going to go mainstream type thing. So probably not monetarily the best decision. I mean, if you write mainstream, you play mainstream music, you're going to make more money. But I mean, it's passion wise, I guess, for the art. So
is that something you think about with your writing?
I try not to. I know for a fact that Where Dragonflies Dance is 100,000% tamer than Siphon was, but it was also a different character, a different situation, and I wanted to challenge myself to write a horror in a different way. Same with the third book I'm writing now. It's different from Siphon and Where Dragonflies Dance. It's more, I guess it'd be more on the transgressive side than horror. There's not a lot of gore. There's not supernatural elements in the third one. It's just a very flawed character and a very flawed situation. So,
because I would have said that with the second book, it's like emotionally darker than the first one. It would be what some people might call more mature. Would you agree?
I'd agree, yeah. So, I mean, it's more themes of grief and guilt than lust and obsession, which Siphon was. So, lust and obsession is, I believe the character is more of a aggressive, not holding anything back, if that's the themes you're doing with the character archetype. Whereas if you have a character archetype where you build on grief and guilt, it's more of a reactionary than actually, pushing his way through the story. So
yeah. Chris, what kind of stuff do you write?
Fantasy.
Fancy.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Tell them what you're working on.
I'm sorry?
I said, tell them what you're working on now.
Well, right now I'm working on trying to get caught up on Gen Subs so I can write my own stuff with a free conscience. We have a pretty long backlog of Gen Subs that go back to, we've gotten up to October of last year that we've gone through. And I feel like if I break off from that to start writing on my own stuff, that I don't know, it bothers me a little bit. So I thought it'd be better off on myself if I focused on the Gen Subs and got them caught up before diving back into what I was working on. And as far as what I was working on, I have two separate stories that have been placed on indefinite hold. One is my quote unquote baby that is more or less loosely based off of the actual campaign setting that my D&D games are running on. And then the other one was born out of a conversation that the three of us had regarding, what did y'all call it, a chat book?
Yeah, it was going to be like a 3-part story where we all wrote a part. And then Chris was like, well, I'll write the first part. And then what was it, like 20,000 words later, we're like, you know what, just write it as a fucking book, Chris. Like we'll do something else.
we'll figure something else out.
We were thinking like maybe each 5 to 7K. And he's like, so I got all this, and he like built this giant first act and stuff.
Words. He's like, I got 14,000 words so far. And we're like,
it's like, I'm not done yet. I haven't got to the like.
I haven't even got to the first half. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Just write this.
And our styles differ so much, and I was like, man, I don't think I could do high fantasy because it's in its own right and respectively, a lot of it's long-winded. And I feel like I'm not a long-winded writer. Like I'm just like boom, 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 boom. Because I start to get like frustrated. I'm like, let's just get to the next scene. That's awesome. But I mean, I've read the story he has in a couple of magazines, the fantasy ones, like one's in Banished and the other one's in.
I wrote one for Banished, Eldridge. I think that's it so far.
Yeah, they're really good. I'm excited for him to finish the book.
I wrote one for Fangs.
And Fangs, yes.
So that's not the same universe, right?
No.
The other two are in the same world?
I haven't decided on that. The one I wrote for Banished and Eldritch are in the same world.
Yeah.
I haven't decided. I kept it kind of purposely vague in case I wanted to tie it all into what the other stories are. But Fangs has nothing to do with it was just a straight up creature feature.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Dustin, what are you? Sorry.
Continue.
Dustin, what are you working on? Anything?
Nothing really right now. I've sort of hit a slump in life in general. Just last year was a kind of a stressful year for us, our family and everything. So I sort of took a step back and I did a lot of, sort of, we finished season 3 of the Geek Men podcast, and Bo stepped back from his co-host duties on that, and so haven't started up on a new season of that, but through Geek Men I've picked up a bunch of art for like painting figures and stuff like that, so that's sort of been like a calming therapeutic type thing for me. But I think I'm gonna start getting back into the saddle, I guess, so to speak. Adrian's been bugging me about finishing my novella this year, but we'll see.
Well, it's like it's crazy because this trifecta we have such completely different lifestyles, completely different methods of how we do things or processes on creatively. So with that comes obviously like maybe bumping heads or miscommunication or not seeing eye to eye. But on the opposite side of the coin, it's also if one person has a problem or something, there's 3 different ways we could look at it. So maybe I'm stuck on something or we're all stuck on something with the Aphotic Realm, and then one person has what seemingly unorthodox to the other 2 of us a resolution to it or a way to fix the problem. So it really is balancing that fine line, having 3 people that are, like I said, completely different in what we do. So, and like, with writing, it's like, I can't, if you're blocked, Leo, on something, I may come in and tell you how I would do it, but that necessarily doesn't work. It's such a isolated, personal process that it's, there's all these books on how to write, but I don't really believe in those books because, Dustin and I went to school, we got our bachelor's in creative writing, and it's like half these books are, I was like, well, that doesn't work for me. And I found a way that works for me that it's not in any of the books. I do weird things, you know what I mean, when I'm by myself writing. So, but yeah, it's really just a support system. So I do get on his ass, like, hey, you should write. You should probably send me something. Come on, let's do it. Come on, you want to sit down? Let's talk. But if they did that to me, I'd be like, leave me alone. All right, I don't want to write this week. You know what I mean? So, it's more of like a weird guilt thing. Like, I didn't write anything this week. Why aren't you writing anything? Let me read what you wrote. Yes.
Thing is, like, I don't know. You probably also have that dynamic with yourself as well. Because me as well, I'm just like, you should write. And my brain's just like, I'm not going to give you anything. You're not going to get anything. And then it'll be like, fine, I'll just go take a nap. And then it'll just be like, how about this guy? And he shows up and you're like, all right, okay, cool. I'll go write it then. Like,
that happens to me. That happens to me every night when I go to bed and I have like 3 hours to get sleep before my alarm goes off. And it's like, I need these 3 hours of sleep if I'm going to get through work in the morning. I need to ignore this brain and get to sleep. But that's the only time my brain wants to function, is like when I should be sleeping to get to work to my day job. And then it's like, hey, it's the weekend. All right, brain, let's work. No, it's like, nah, let's chill. I'm tired. We had a hard week. I provided gold for you every other day and you ignored me. But
and then you two have a thing that I don't. They have children. I don't. So I mean, I couldn't imagine with just my procrastination and other shit I got going on. If you threw a couple kids in that mix, I wouldn't. There would be no writing done ever. Yeah. And I mean, like, it's even like my wife and I work opposite schedules. I get home from work, she goes to work, and I'm like, I'm gonna get some writing done, and I'll have my coffee. I sit down at my desk, and I'm like, bye, I love you. And she walks out the door. She comes home at midnight. The whole house is clean. She's like, you didn't fucking write anything, did you? I'm like, nope. Like deep cleaning the baseboards. I was like, well, I wrote a sentence. I went to go smoke a cigarette and think about it. And then I saw this scuff by the front door. And now, you know.
Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it's been going. And we just bought a house, so, you know, all that stuff. Fixing everything, you know, once you fix one thing, you're like, we're good to go. Something else breaks, or, you know, it's
never done.
It's never done. And it's finding a new balance. It's a new life thing. It's different from renting, which I've done. This is my first house I ever bought. So, you know, it's like, I can't just call a landlord and be like, this needs to be fixed. It's like, oh, this broke. Do I have the extra $500? No. Looks like I have to work more hours at work. And then, you know, just it dominoes. So.
Yeah.
That's why I never want to own a house.
Well, in the neighborhood I'm in now, rent went up to about $1,400, and I have to stay in this neighborhood because I work around here. Buying a house, my mortgage is only $1,200. It's actually cheaper to buy the house at this point. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
Housing market in the U.S. is all wonky. So,
do you guys talk to like non-creative people about what you're doing at all? Do you tell people that you're a writer?
Every time I've ever tried to tell anyone, hey, yeah, no, I write, or they're like, yeah, no, I can write too. And it's just like, okay. No, I don't mean like what you do. I mean actually write. I write stuff. It's published places and do stuff. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool, huh? Imagine that. They just don't care. They do not care. It's like a deer in headlights. Their eyes just glaze over and they're waiting for you to stop talking so that they can leave. It's like, you brought it up. I'm just answering.
Yeah, my day job, I'm a general manager, and most of the people I general manage are high school kids. So it's like, you know, blah, blah, talk. Every now and then it comes up. They know I write stuff outside of work. Because sometimes I'll just leave work. I'm like, I'm leaving early. I got shit to do. And like, what you got to do is like, I have to go read stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be, I have the freedom just to be like, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? And I had one employee that's worked there 5 years, and he's like, I was on Amazon and I just typed in your name, A. Medina. He's like, so I bought that book Siphon. He's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Because I'm different at work, you know, I'm Mr. Boss Man, you know. And I was all, I told you, man, like, I don't know what to tell you. I told you I write horror. And he's like, he's like, it was good, but I mean, I think it was the first book he's read since he got out of high school. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys.
He even then he only read Cliff Notes in high school.
Yeah, but you know those people that don't really read, and then they read something kind of out there that's not mainstream. They're not going to pick it up at Barnes and Noble or a bookstore in like the section, and then they go, I didn't know things like that existed. I was like, mine's pretty tame compared to a lot of the shit out there.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, you want to get crazy, I was like, I can give you some authors to get crazy on if you want to start this reading hobby, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen, I did I made a short film with some people. It's the one where the woman eats an apple and then she dies in it. Don't know if you've seen that one.
I saw your day off one. That's the last one I watched. Or
is that the one where I dance around in the fur coat?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's become a legend around here. That was great. I didn't know I could do that. But I was just like, if you're on camera, I was just like, all right, I'm playing a character, so it's not like I'm being myself. And then when I was able to do that, I was like, all right, okay, cool, I can dance in a fur coat, and people will think I'm like able to do that normally. But it's so funny how like Norwegians just don't react to anything. It's been such a lovely backdrop for my films. Like,
and I was wondering that. I was watching just like pedestrians walk by, and I was like, that just must be Norway, because if you did that in Phoenix, someone would stop you and be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You might get a gun pulled out on you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, oh no, he's meth head. So.
It's pretty shocking here. Like I when I was in Oslo, like in the central station, there would usually be like an addict passed out somewhere. So I would call the emergency services or something, and they'd be like, oh, where are you? And I was like, I'm in like Oslo Central Station. Oh yeah, well of course you've seen one there. And I was like, yeah, so can you come and get them? Well, it's very good of you to call, because like, everyone else, like I would be going up an escalator and you can see this guy passed out with a bunch of bags or whatever. People just aren't even looking at him. They're just like, I wouldn't want to bother him, wouldn't want to intrude on his life. And it's like, you might want to intervene now, though. It's not polite anymore. This is an extenuating circumstance. So I kind of knew when I was doing that, like nothing will make these people look at me. And I think that's like the amusing thing was, for a long time I was just like, I can't make anything interesting happen here. I can't get anyone involved in anything. But I'd made this film. It was like an adaptation of one of my short stories where it's like these two vloggers and they're running out of they're losing subscribers. So one guy says, I'm going to kill my girlfriend on camera by feeding her an apple. And I told this to a woman who'd come to my club, and I was like, all right, I need to do the short film. I need the girlfriend that my friend's going to kill. Would you like to be the girlfriend? She was like, yeah, all right, cool. She was pure up for it. And then we made the film and I showed it at the club, and the guy was like, oh, I don't know if did you put that on YouTube? He was like, I don't know if you'd like to do that. It's quite a serious topic. You don't want to be like, you don't want to be seen as somebody who's like, involved in this kind of stuff. And I was like, my excuse was like, I tried to make it so silly and you've read some of my stuff as well. I tried to make it so silly that you couldn't possibly think I'm being serious,
Yeah.
So that's my defense for writing that kind of material. It's just like, I'm obviously joking. Like, I'm not advocating any of this. I'm just trying to have fun. And I'm a weirdo, and I don't get to talk to people like this, but you don't get to tell me how to write, It's my one refuge for getting all this stuff out,
Exactly. And if a person tells you not to put it out there, that only makes me want to put it out there more.
Yeah.
And there's only one person that if they're like, don't publish, it's my wife. Because she reads everything. She's my proofreader and stuff. And, she does all that. And I mean, there was like one part in Where Dragonflies Dance where she's like, she's like, you have a good theme going here. She's like, this seems like out of the blue and you're just getting dark to get dark. It doesn't make any sense. And I was like, fine. But it was like, I was so excited when I was writing that scene. It's like, fine. She's like, do it if you want. She's like, but I won't do it. And I was like, I guess you're the one person that's like, I don't want to be married to that.
So did you take it out in the end?
I did. She was right though. I rewrote it. I reread it with, I put it aside for a week, and it did kind of just feel like it came out of nowhere. However, that scene will be repurposed for maybe a short story, but yeah, I'm thinking about it now and I'm kind of cringing if I would have left it in there, because I could just see the reviews coming in and be like, it was really good until about part 4 where this random thing happened and I don't know what happened. It's, when you watch a movie and there's just that random thing that happens and then it goes back to the normal, you're like,
every time.
What the fuck was that? trying to make a cohesive story here. And because when I get stuck, like right now I'm stuck, I just start writing scenes that happen later, just like by themselves, try not to go completely linear, and then work my way to those scenes. But in the process of working your way to those scenes, sometimes that scene is unnecessary because the way you got there. And I kind of I left that one in, and it shouldn't have been there. So
fair. Like every new project, you're just doing that again. You're just trying to guess what the story is, and then you're like, maybe this happens, maybe that. All of my drafts up into the last word are all just like random chunks of text, like maybe he does that, maybe it looks like that, maybe they go over there, and then later you just kind of refine and find out what it was you were trying to write. But it's every new project is exactly the same, so it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, now that I've got this club, I really love that I'm doing filmmaking, because it's something that, like, basically I've taught myself how to write. I knew I could teach myself how to make films, but now that I'm doing it with other people, and I see in them all the insecurities that I have about my own writing, just people are gonna laugh at me. I don't know if we should do that. I don't know. Like, I don't want to start until I have this bit of equipment. I don't want to start until blah blah blah. And it's like, it looks so silly when somebody else is doing it that I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to do any of that anymore. And I handed people a script last week, and they were laughing at some of the lines, and they were like, I think this needs a rewrite. And I was like, I can't tell if that page is like genius or nonsense, but I want to point a camera at you and I want you to say it, and then we'll look at it and see if it is. Like, I don't know, like, after writing for 8 years, whether it is or not. So just give it a shot. And like, who cares if it's crap anyway? Who cares? Like, anyone who laughs at you for being creative is a dick. So
yeah, I mean, in filmmaking, like, writing for screen is a completely different beast than writing prose. My wife
do that as well.
Yeah, my wife has her bachelor's in cinematography. So when she was going through school, she'd have to have short scripts for her to shoot. And she's like, I really don't like writing. I like doing the camera work and like the directing. So she'd be like, hey, write me like a 3-page script. And I just write her a 3-page script to do for a school project. And there would be lines in there. She's like, I really don't like that. I was like, you fucking do with it what you want. Like, if you think, and I mean, I've seen so many of my 3-5-page scripts that will never see the light of day because she doesn't want to release them. It was just for school projects that are just completely chopped, skewed, bastardized, like nothing like my script, because on the fly she decided that they're going to do something different. And I was like, that's part of the medium. That's why there's a director. That's why the screenwriter is not, paid to sit there and yell at the actors. It's the director. It's his vision going off the blueprint. So
yeah, and I think that's so common. Like, I think there are stories that are the most sensational about the world of writing and the world of film are like when people clashed on set about scenes that they had to keep in. And if it's writing, it's like somebody who gets a 6-figure deal, or somebody whose agent like is secretly stealing money from them. And these things are like horrible, and they get a lot of attention, but they're also not the main story. Most of the time, most writers are going to be like, all right, I'm collaborating. I don't like that scene. I need to take it out. Most people are going to go, fine. That's I for one, I'm not precious about anything, because I still just don't really feel like I know what I'm doing. And I think that I don't know, I'm not like a pure sentence craftsman or whatever. You can delete a sentence, like, it doesn't need to be there. I don't care,
I'm the same way.
I think most people are probably like that.
Yeah, except that one scene I alluded to earlier. But yeah, other than that, I'll delete shit all day. Like, I mean, when Siphon was originally published with Hindered Souls Press, MR Tapia was the one that edited it. And I mean, he got rid of like 5 whole pages. And that was my first like published with someone else thing. And, you always hear the thing, kill your babies and stuff. It's always tough when someone you don't know is telling you to kill your babies. And I was like, okay, all right, he's publishing it. He doesn't want it in there. That's fine. And it did make sense, but it's the whole, but now I'm in, hardened. I'll write a whole page and then delete it and then get off my computer. I was like, I wasted 2 hours, whatever, got it out of my head. Not worth it. So
yeah. Dustin, how about you? Like, what do you have particular genres you like to write in, or?
Well, I probably no, I don't. I find that I had a lot of fun writing for Bo's story, which was Bo's anthology, which was like horror Western. It was
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a lot of fun, which was surprising to me. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, why is that surprising to you? I am actually named after a Western hero in a Western novel. A cowboy, Dusty Fogg. That's where I got my name. Some famous gunslinger of the West, in a J.T. Edson novel. That's where my parents got my name. And then my parents were obsessed with watching pretty much every Western movie and TV show there ever was. So I'm not surprised now, but at the time I was. But yeah, so I would say that urban fantasy, I tend to skew towards that a lot. When I'm writing, I have several stories that I work on slowly but surely. I have ideas that I constantly am jotting down stuff for, but I have an entire urban fantasy, noir, steampunk / stuff story that I've been working on. It started out as a comics. It started out as a novel series, and then I changed it to comic books in school, and and I actually wrote some of it out, but that's usually somewhere in there is what I all over the place, really.
Well, Dustin's an extremely mindful writer, like because I've read his stuff, obviously, and I know you're not mentioning "Oh Unholy Night," Dustin, but he sent me this opening scene. I believe it's the opening scene, right, with the archer, and it fucking blew me away. Like visual, it's I guess I'll paraphrase. Stop me if I'm doing it wrong. It's a guy pulling back his bowstring to kill a deer, but he's thinking about it as a man, right? That, like, you think he's going to kill a man, but it's actually a deer.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how to describe it because I don't write that way, but it's beautiful. At the end of the opening scene, you're like, oh, it's this guy picturing, you think he's going to kill this dude, but it's just him hunting by himself. And I wanted to read the rest of it, but I know Dustin, you're one of those guys that will cling on to every sentence and it has to be perfect before you move on. That's how I feel you are, kind of.
Yeah, and I what was it? No one's had an opportunity to read it yet. It's in the interview that I did and upcoming, but best piece of advice, a little teaser. The full interview is gonna be in the next magazine, but this little snippet of advice was done is better than perfect. And so that was the best piece of advice this person had ever got as far as writing goes. And I started thinking about that, and I was like, all right, and then they elaborated on, every piece of writing, or no matter what it is you're doing, whether if I were to apply it to my life, I paint custom action figures or write a story or whatever that case may be. Each one of those things is reflecting on your skills and knowledge and ability at that point in time of your life. So if you're constantly modifying it as you go, you'll never be done because you're always learning. So, and always improving in theory. So you'll never be done. So, but done is better than perfect because it'll never be perfect because you'll always be learning something new and see a new way to do something better.
Yeah. I would add two things to that. Like, I just read an interview with Samuel Delaney, who's I don't know if he's one of my favorite writers, but I'm definitely inspired by him. Like, he said all works of art they're never finished, they're always abandoned. And you just need to know when to abandon them.
Right.
And I think that's
really
totally true, because everything
it.
I don't have shame anymore about getting rejections. I think that's something that, as we've mentioned before, like I think it comes with time. Once you submit, you're like, oh, I'm not exempt from this. You know, you start off, you're like, I'm special. Everyone will accept everything I do. Yeah, I'm great. And then you learn that you're not, whatever. But I used to think that rejections were like, oh, there's some missing component to this story that I don't understand why it's missing, because I'm not a real writer. And they're never going to tell me that. They're just going to give me 4 rejections all the time because I'm not doing what other people are doing. But then you kind of think, you know, if everything is kind of inherently imperfect, especially if it's a very long piece, I think the longer it gets, the many more directions it could go into, then everything you submit or everything you think you finished feels like it's unfinished. You know.
It really does. I edited Siphon like 10 times, and I didn't want to submit it or do anything. And like right now, it's 3 years ago I wrote Siphon, and I'm reading back through it because the shared universe that the Claybrook County Chronicles are in, and I'm just checking on some things, and then I get stuck reading like a chapter, and I want to edit it, and then I have to do I have this voice in the back of my head like, maybe I should do a 3rd edition with some edit, and I was like, no, stop. And then it's the realization that it is what it is. It's going to be imperfect forever, in my eyes at least.
Yeah.
And and that's the whole goes back to the whole thing. You can't edit a blank page. That's what I think to myself when I'm not feeling the writing. I was like, as long as the story's there, I could come back and make it all flowery and flow. But right now, what's this person doing? They need to do it. It needs to be on paper. So, you know.
Well, I think like for me, I'm such a nicer person once I've written. I don't know why, but I also just kind of feel like, okay, for everyone's sake,
maybe that's
just
my
do
problem.
this. You know?
No, it's like a strange post-coitus.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. It's like
the writing equivalent to post-nut clarity. So it really is. Like if I get a good writing session in, I'm just nicer. My wife comes home like, let's go out to dinner, let's grab a beer. Other than that, I'm just grumpy and like, I don't want to go out tonight.
Yeah.
But it's too late. You know, I got to go to bed. Go to day job's too late to fucking lock myself back in the office. So
yeah, no, I turn into Tony Robbins after I've written in the morning. You know, get out there, we can do it, guys. Just I know it's tough. You got to get out there, and then like. When I'm not writing, it's just the exact opposite. It's like I'm going to turn into one of those addicts in the station. Like if I don't, yeah.
Oh man.
But also, like I say with this club, it's been really good. This is, I think, the first time I've been around other people creating. I think I like to hold on to ownership of this, which is kind of a dangerous thing to do. You know, just like, I'm a writer and it's my thing, because it isn't really. I think that anyone who puts the time in could do it, and I think that the people who deserve to be successful are the ones who put the time in. I don't think it is something that people own, and I don't actually believe in the notion of real writers or what writers typically do, because as you guys were talking about, you've all got different ways of writing and different, you know, it's difficult to edit the material of somebody else's and everything. So when I see people in the club and they're just like, I didn't like, if it's an actor, they'll be like, I didn't like the expression on my face, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I didn't notice. I've been watching films for like 26, 27 years or something. I didn't even know, I didn't notice, you know? It's like everything you think is a mistake is something that you, as the creator, are so much more aware of. Other people probably don't even notice, you know?
Yeah, and then, but like you think as like an actor, that's their form of creation. So, you know, maybe where you flubbed in your writing or something like that, or your directing, they flubbed in their acting because that's what they're bringing to the table. You may not notice, but it's killing them inside. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So
there's actors like Adam Driver who will not watch his things he acted in. So like he has a rule, like if he's going to be interviewed, you can't show clips of him in whatever thing. And I forget what show it was, but he was being interviewed by someone, and they tried to show a clip of him in A Marriage Story, the Netflix show, and he got up and walked out of the interview. It's like, it just, no, he has a rule. Don't even try it. He cannot watch himself. Just has a thing against it. People are like that. I know I don't enjoy watching myself, but you know, when the few things that I've been in for the years and stuff, I don't like it.
And this is the only reason I agreed to do this, because it's an audio podcast.
I can't stand the sound of my own voice.
Oh, you're gonna hear your own voice?
Yeah, I hate it.
I hate it too, though, Chris. It's fine.
So I have hardly asked many questions.
It took me a while to get over the sound of my own voice, but it was when I started doing the Geekmen podcast. It's like, well, my voice doesn't really sound like me, and it's almost like it's a different person. So that's how I was able to re-listen to the episodes and be like, oh, okay. But then subconsciously, I was like, okay, that's me, and I should probably not sound like such an idiot next time. Oh, wait, that's impossible. Well, try a little less hard.
When I started filmmaking, like first it was like it first starts with a podcast, and I recorded like just myself talking for like 10 minutes, and then I went to talk to my husband, and I was like, I told people I'm starting a podcast. I can't listen to this again. It took me like 2 weeks to be like, right, got to listen to your own voice. Listen to your own voice. And then of course, like, I don't know, make an episode roughly weekly. You just get used to it. And then when it came to filming, it was like, oh, got to look at myself talking. And then I was like, God, I kind of wish I'd started this when I had hair still. Whoops. But I guess we're never too late, you know. So then it was that. Then it was like, then I got to watch myself acting on camera, and then that was a new layer. And now it's just like whatever, you know. I feel like if I can get to the stage where I can look at myself, I used to be one of those people who would say it was just, I'm just not that guy who'll ever get used to it, wherever. But I think it's a bit like checking your bank account, you know. Like I have to do it sometimes, and I'm like, ugh, you know. But
I don't check my bank account. I do not check my bank account. I wait till I get the notification saying I'm under $25 after I spend money, and then I go, oh, no more money till paycheck comes.
I get little texts on my phone that's like, hey, it's like really friendly. It's like, hey, did you forget about us? We sent you an electrical bill like a week ago. And I'm like, yeah.
Money's stressful.
Money is extremely stressful. The other day, the wife and I went to the store to buy stuff, and I was like, I'm going to get that text saying I'm under $25. And I didn't get it. And then we're sitting in the backyard, and she's like, you need to see how much money you have because we have to buy this. And I was all logging into my thing. And then our tax return came in early. And I was all, woo. And then I went and bought a bunch of unnecessary fucking shit.
Right?
Yeah. I was like, we're going to eat steak tonight. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
A good steak.
I'm an engineer by day, and I have to have very serious meetings with very professional people who are like Norwegian, and they're always talking English for my benefit. But like over, I think the year and a half I've been working in this project, they're just like, if you spend a year and a half with somebody, even if it's like in work mode, like they eventually get to see the real me, and now everyone's talking weird all the time. I love it, because they were just like, what were they saying last time? They were just like, we come in here because we need to earn money to buy food. And I was like, who invented this? I was like, just give us the food. We're going to die. Like, this is awful. I can't believe we have to And then they were just like, so, right, should we install the pipes? And I was like, I don't know. Go on and install the pipes.
Oh, no.
Because I was like, I don't really like to collect things because then they decay in front of you and it reminds you of your own mortality. So I don't really know why I need to make money anyway if it's not for food. They're like, you know, I've been whittling them down to that level of weird, and it feels great, you know.
See, I don't understand that concept. I collect everything. I'm a mini hoarder. I think it's because I don't know, trying to hold on to something, but I know Dustin's the same though. He collects action figures and shit. I collect random things, oddities, and stuff.
Yeah.
I spend unnecessary amount of money on some things. And then, I get a package and the wife's like, really? I was like, if you're going to buy makeup, I don't even care if you wear makeup. You're going to spend $20 on makeup. I'm going to buy this weird looking skull that's going on my bookshelf. Okay.
Like, so, you know what? You just tell the wife, it's like, you know what? You can take off your clothes and still look good. You know what? I'm just buying this to make myself feel good. But, that's what I tell, and a lot of people, other husbands and stuff go out and they go on golf trips, spend all this money on like, golf clubs and golfing trips and resorts and all that stuff just to go golf. This is just an example. Golfing. The only thing that you can really sell to recoup that money is the golf clubs. Whereas if I die tomorrow, my wife can sell every single one of these action figures and get the money back, because almost all of them are only gaining value, even out of the package. Because the ones I buy, anyway,
that is such a marriage justification, though.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'm just saying,
all these weird routes to like, I'm buying these because when I die, we don't have health, we don't have life insurance policy. Okay. So you see this room full of shit.
I have a good life insurance policy too.
Oh, but, I don't have anything. So.
See, that's why the writing's going downhill, is because you were sitting there writing that essay for your wife.
Oh no, that's just the weird stuff that pops into my head all the time. I have really weird stuff that pops into my head, but
don't throw away that action figure that's going to pay for the funeral.
Well, something like that.
Well, when either my wife or I die, we're just gonna get mannequin skin suits because we spend too much money on tattoos anyways. So I was always telling they do that in the old Japanese. They leave it right here, so they cut the skin off, and that's really not going to happen. I would not like that to traumatize my friends and family. But I was like, we're always like, are we going to eat ramen tonight? Yes, we're going to eat ramen tonight. Are we going to go throw $500 down on this new tattoo? Yes. Like, our priorities are all fucking all wonky, but yeah.
And that's one of the few good things about adulthood, though, is you get to live it the way you want if you're reckless. If you're thinking straight. I don't know. Chris, what's the thing that you collect or spend your money on?
Recently, most of my money goes to Dungeons and Dragons.
What does that? Is it like the books, or how do you? I've never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Never played Dungeons and Dragons, Leo? You're not living, man. You could be as weird as you want.
So
do what you want.
It's a tabletop RPG. You create a character that's not necessarily you, and you live vicariously through that character for the duration of the session. You level up and you progress. You learn new things, skills, abilities, and you're hanging out with friends. And
so, like acting. So, like,
but it's storytelling at the same time.
If you want to be a barbarian with a full head of hair that isn't afraid of interacting with people, you can do that.
That's great, yeah.
And it's like a dice rolls, for example. I play a rogue in his campaign that is a big piece of shit liar. So I have a skill.
So no different than himself.
Oh, I'm not a liar. I'm brutally honest. But he's a cross-dresser in the game.
That's cool.
So, yes, his name is Abe the Rat, but when he cross-dresses, his name's Abigail Havron. And he lures unsuspecting victims from pubs and then robs them. But, like, say if I wanted to lie to someone, my deception score is an 11. I roll a 20-sided dice and add that. And the dungeon master would be like, okay, it's going to take at least a 25 to successfully lie to this person. I rolled a 29. So I get to do that. So you get to do whatever you want and then just let the chance of the dice roll happen.
A lot of it's left to chance. But yeah, you're essentially telling a story. The dungeon master is there to facilitate and guide loosely. He's got the background details of your location and the world in general, and the characters basically do the rest.
So, for example, last Saturday, I had Dungeon Master session, and he plays in it, and he walked in on a father trying to rape his daughter, and then his character kicked the father into a fireplace, and then shenanigans occurred. My campaign's a little darker than the normal high fantasy. It's more horror based. I told them that going in. I was like, there's going to probably be some fucked up shit that your fake characters are going to have to deal with in this fake world. But when I supply them with those insane situations, we already had a couple like more moral things. It's weird to see some of the people, about 5 beers deep, 2 hours into the session, but they're no longer playing. They seem legitimately like, oh no, we have to save this fake person. You know what I mean? Like you could see it on their face, and it's like they're kind of drained.
Really
like,
in it, in the zone.
You know it's a good session when what's going on in the situation, you're no longer like in the case that he just exampled. I was raised and brought up a certain way. You don't treat women that way. And so I walked in and saw this happening. I had the conversation with the daughter from the door, and intuitively I kind of knew what was going on. Opened the door, and there it is before me. I got pissed.
He was legitimately mad.
I was legitimately livid.
Yeah.
So I Sparta kicked his ass into the fireplace. But my point to all of this is if your players are getting emotionally vested into what's going on to the point where that line between reality and fantasy gets blurred, they no longer see themselves as, or in this case, I no longer necessarily saw myself as Chris, but my character, then it's a good session.
And as a dungeon master, it's a writing experiment because you've built this world and you build situations, but you have no control over the characters. So if you look at it like you're writing a book real time, but the characters are going to throw you a loop that you didn't plan, and off the seat of your pants, you have to go with it. You can't go, well, no, I didn't want this to happen in my story I'm telling, so you can't do that. If I expect the players to go left and they go right, I got to figure out what the fuck's happening right. You know what I mean? And it helps when you sit down to write because you get stuck and you go, what do I do when I'm dungeon mastering? Random, and just go with it.
It's like trying to herd cats, and you can't herd cats.
Yeah.
That's really cool. No, it's got me thinking because like so far, I've been trying to involve like the people in my club. I'm trying to get them to do the various roles and stuff, but I don't think anyone is very comfortable writing. And it's like you said, people ask me how to start writing. I was like, just go like that. I don't know. Write something bad and then write something better. I don't know. I can't. I'm so glad I don't have to, pretend to know how to teach it because I don't. But I could just use one of the sessions to get us to improvise a thing that we write collectively. And if they feel like they've been involved in writing something, then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm like a bit of a writer. And maybe that would get them more comfy. So maybe I could do a Dungeons and Dragons style like improv thing where I give them a premise and they have to choose a character. That'd be such a fun exercise.
Yeah,
that'd be so cool, and then we can film it and show it to people.
Our friend is doing a one-shot, a player, and it's not fantasy at all. We're a bunch of tropey high schoolers, like the jock, the cheerleader, stuff like that. And we have to stay in this mansion over the weekend, but there's supernatural shit, serial killer, slasher shit going on. But we're using the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's just like you'd use, I guess, like a graphics engine can build a billion different video games, not like each other. It's just the mechanics of it. So it doesn't have to be swords and shields. It could be whatever your imagination is, but it does get you into the role and just gives you a nice mechanical blueprint on how to do things, but not how to run your character. Just if you want to do something, it dictates the chance, essentially. So
like it's exactly like this podcast because like I never planned to talk to you guys about this now, and then that thing an hour into our chat is the one thing that's inspired me to write this down. So that's when you know it's a successful chat, is when you're like, okay, we're all involved in something that we never really knew we were going to talk about, and the chat takes off. That's why I called it. That's why that's why I called it Losing the Plot. Like, what do you want to talk about? What do we all feel is interesting? Yeah.
Well, they have online D&D sessions you could just join with random people. I think it's d20collective.com. So if you're ever feeling up to it and you want to see what it's about, yeah. It's really helped me with my writing. It's helped me with character development in my own writing. Not necessarily because you're seeing 3-dimensional characters, which are your friends, in person, play out a story that, you left open-ended for them. So when you take that same concept and you sit down to write, you look at your characters as 3-dimensional beings. Because, when you first start writing a character, they feel flat until you're so far into it and you're like, oh, I understand the personality. Well, when you're watching real people play out real characters in front of you in the world you created, it kind of helps when you sit down to write. Like, what are the quirks that my friends had that on paper their character's a druid that casts lightning and stuff, but the druid's actually my wife and she has a very short temper. So, she's all lovey-dovey nature, but if someone pokes her, she's going to throw a fireball in their face. You know what I mean? So that it gives it that weird quirk of like, yes, the druid will have a pet squirrel that she loves, but if you look at her the wrong way, you're going to get slapped upside the head. That's a nice quirky character, you know what I mean? It's apply to anything like that. So
that squirrel's a source of a particular dynamic that's going on in that campaign.
We won't get into that. It's just fun. I mean, we've played for this campaign 3 months, about 5-6 hours every week. So that's how far we into it. Think about like a episodic TV show. There's so many weird inside jokes and shit. We're not even going to get into that. You know what I mean? So
it's really cool. Dustin, is it something you're familiar with it as well, right?
I'm familiar with. I played a different version for this thing called Warhammer 40K. But it ended abruptly when our characters, our dungeon master underestimated how strong we were, and we killed the whole main person, the main villain. On our first meeting, he said we were supposed to go up against the main villain, and we were supposed to get beaten up pretty bad. One of us might have died, and then they were going to disappear. But instead, we destroyed that thing. And he's like, and that sort of like took the wind out of his sails, and he just sort of ended it, and we never went back to it. It's like, oh, well, you know what? People regenerate and come back to life all the time. It's fine. Have some magical thingy, and it brought it back to life. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, that's why you have a Dungeon Master screen. And when that starts happening, you start flubbing your rolls. Be like, oh, I rolled really high. You guys are fucked.
Yeah, right.
Dungeon Master is half lying to your players if they're doing too good.
Right.
I mean, no, this is too easy. Stories are about conflict. You're getting away too easy.
Right.
So.
Right.
It's funny, like, I did this. Sorry, go for it.
Oh no, I was just saying. But so that was ended abruptly, and that was that. And I don't play with these guys. I want to play Dungeons and Dragons. I just never have.
You just got to move to Arizona.
Yeah.
There's no way I would survive in the cold. So.
Well, we kind of half-assed talked about doing
the online one? Yeah.
Online together through this avenue using Skype.
Yeah, we wanted to do an Aphotic Realm Dungeons and Dragons session. Would you like to join, Leo?
Absolutely, I would, yeah. Let's do it.
All right, he's going to DM it, though.
If you want it to be Aphotic Realm based, then you should probably do it.
Okay.
Because I have a hard time getting that dark.
Okay.
Cool. I want it completely fucked up as well. I want
There will be killing of metaphorical babies and literal if you're really into the characters. So
sure.
Yeah, you get attached to your characters really easily to the point where I have seen people cry over their character dying.
Well, you spend like days with this fake character that you're pretending to be, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and then you're like, oh, my persona died, and I don't get to hang out with my friends for a couple weeks until the story allows my new character to come in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's wild. I did this acting workshop thing. We're going to do another one next weekend as well, but it was the first time I'd ever done improv. And the guy was like, right, we just need to have a back and forth. And he said something to me that was just like, oh God, I can't believe it. Like he came in with this premise and it was like, I can't believe you hung out with her in the cafe instead of me. And I was like, yeah, that makes me a dick. You got me there. All right, fair. It's just like, because in my mind, I was just like, I would never do that. I would just be honest with you. Like, I'm kind. I would never go behind your back. So now that you're accusing me of having done that and I'm supposed to buy into that premise, like, I just live my life as if that's never going to happen. So because I don't know what to do now. So yeah.
You got to yes and it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
I did.
Yes, I did because she's a bitch, and then let them
I
respond.
yes, heard it.
Yes. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I know. What's do we need to talk about any special stuff going on at Aphotic Realm or anything that you guys are promoting?
Well, we have Interstellar coming out. I am mostly done with it. It's a normal life in the way of sitting down and doing the design and the formatting and stuff like that, but it's mostly done. We should have the proof out to send to the contributors here soon, the next week.
We modified the release schedule.
Yes, modified the release schedule. If you want to go into that, because scheduling is my downfall.
Yeah. Hey, let me get the paper so I don't mess it up. Oh, there's my phone. What I was looking for. We modified the release schedule.
No, it's not you.
So we had been releasing the magazine 3 times a year. A February, March issue, a June, July issue, and an October, November issue. But we're changing that because of the novellas. And so we shifted all that around so we'd have more time to edit and promote and really work on all those. So we're moving those so we'll have more time to actually fully devote to the design and everything, take more pressure off of us, crunch time. So January is going to be the deadline for new issues for the March 15th-ish release of the March first issue of the year. Then the next issue is going to be out in June 15th instead of July. And then September 15th is going to be our target date for our novellas. And then December 15th is the final issue of the year. So that's how that will sort of cycle around. Next issue being Justice, right?
Yeah. So some gumshoe.
Yeah, with a twist of supernatural.
Yeah. So, and I mean, just to comment on like our strange themes we have, some people go, why do you do that? And it's like, well, because one, it's fun. Two, sometimes we get a shit ton of submissions because it's more of a broad theme. Sometimes we don't get that many submissions. And it could be disheartening, but at the same time, it's like, it's fun. Like we're having Interstellar this, and then we're doing Supernatural Noir the next one, and then we're doing fucking kaiju, giant monsters, Godzilla style. Like, and as an editor, the people that read these stories, it keeps it fresh.
Right.
Like if everything was just straight horror, like we're just a horror magazine, send in your horror stuff, then you're just reading horror all the time. But I want to see like, how does a writer that has submitted to us 3 times before, that has a style, how does it translate to writing about a giant monster terrorizing a city when usually they talk about supernatural demons in a basement? You know what I mean? Like that's half the fun. So I just wanted to address that because I've been getting messages every now and then, like a Twitter DM writer, like, hey, so I wanted to submit to this one, but it's not really like the theme, and I was really looking forward to announcing the theme. And it's like, well, it's not my problem. Like,
right.
We pick the theme to be fun. It's like, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, if you don't want to submit to themes, submit to general subs.
Well, but you also get the hate of like, why? And it's like, you don't have to submit. Like, I never understood that. Like, if I'm looking for places to submit short stories and I go to a website or a literary mag's website, like submission page, and I'm not filling their restrictions or theme,
Yeah.
the last thing I think about is emailing them, bitching about
Asking
their
why.
theme.
Yeah.
We are literally
We get
one
it a lot.
lit mag in a sea of millions of lit mags out there. It's not like we're Cemetery Dance. It's not like we're a giant mainstream one, at all, by no means. But we still get those emails asking us to change things. It's like, just go somewhere else. I don't understand.
Yeah.
No, I don't get that either. I mean, I would love to submit to the magazine again, but I think that, yeah, I'm just waiting for an appropriate theme because I don't really respond to theme submissions often for the moment. But, if a theme catches my eye or if I have something appropriate, I would love to submit in future. So, yeah. But I mean, I don't hold that against you. There's so many other places to submit if you've got something on the go. I mean, I don't know.
And I'm not a big theme submission person either as a writer. But sometimes, like, I got one story accepted. It was steampunk fairy tales. And I was all, that's interesting. And then kind of like a thought exercise, I wrote like a 1,200K story. And it was like a Geppetto and Pinocchio, but he was building things after the rubble of like a World War I battle. And there's like Zeppelins and shit going around. And it got accepted. I was all, oh, cool. Could I do that again or write anything longer in that genre? Absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly sort of what themes are. Like, you see these writing prompts everywhere, and you see books. People actually make books with writing prompts in there as like writing exercises. That's what it is. It's a writing prompt to get you to, can you write within these restrictions, and what can you do? It's a challenge. Like, what can you do to, be creative, with just this idea? And I don't think our ideas are so restrictive by any means. They just sort of hone in on a topic. Like with Interstellar, we were specific in the sense that, okay, we don't want you just to write a moon base or leaving Earth or something like that. Like, try to make it outside of the
our
universe.
solar system. Yeah,
our solar system. You know what I mean? And by and large, we got that. So that was good. And I think all the better for it.
Very interesting, creative stories. Like, you don't get to play with the planets you're used to.
Right.
You don't get to use a lot of the tropes of. There is still the trope of going insane in deep space.
Yeah.
Which we saw a lot, but there were a couple that we accepted where it took its own twist, did its own thing, and went in directions that we haven't seen before.
Right.
Or like the other trope of being on a generation ship with basically a society going from one solar system to another. That you could do anything with. You have the setting, you've established it early, and now you can do any type of story you want because it takes place on a ship that's like a tiny city in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
And fair enough, deal. It could be a murder mystery on a generation ship. That it could have been a murder mystery in a hotel or a murder mystery, fucking anywhere else. So
yeah, it varies, but yeah, I would agree with that. So with this year, we are going to be offering token payments or a physical copy of the magazine. A writer's choice, contributor's choice, for each accepted submission. So we'll be able to do that for the first time this year. Pretty excited about that.
And then when I talked to you the first time, Leo, however many years ago, remember, I think I recall saying, like, we've watched so many, indie publishers, indie magazines go hard for like a year or two, and then they go under because they start paying like pro rates right away. I was like, we're three guys, we're barely financially supporting ourselves. So we're going to start by building a basis. And then once it starts paying for itself in a way, then we'll incrementally. Yep. So, and I said, about 2-3 years, we'll start doing tokens. I said our 5-year goal, hopefully pro rates. So we're at that 3-year mark, a little later than intended, but we're at the 3-year mark. And now we're going to start trying to do payments for every single thing that comes out, which also means we have to be a little bit more selective selective. We can't
Yeah.
go, this is good, but we only have so much money to spend on material. We'd want to accept it all, but we got to pick the best because that's what we can afford, type thing.
Mhm.
So that's where we're out. With the novellas, it's the $50 advancement against royalties and then 60-40 split. So we're hoping that by the 5th year mark, we're hoping we can actually start being, the per word at a nice rate, make it feel extremely legitimate. Because as
Excellent.
writers ourselves, it kind of kills us inside when we, submit and there's no real, besides maybe a contributor copy or super promotion or whatever, it kills us inside. Like I really want to pay people to submit, but at the same time, when you submit, you know what you're submitting to.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, I personally believe in like every level of the publishing, whatever it is, pyramid of pay scales or anything, because you're like accepting people's work is a big thing for a writer. It's huge for me, more so than like later, more significant publications you get. Your first one you never forget, and you shouldn't, we shouldn't be letting money get in the way of people, celebrating creative joy and stuff. Yeah, I just think that anything that can be done to make the most work possible accessible is a good thing, personally. So
yeah,
it's never bothered me,
You're one of the few.
Yeah,
that doesn't bother.
Yeah, we've been talked to on public forums quite a bit about the fact that we don't pay our writers, but I'm pretty proud of the content we have turned out. I think we have some pretty high quality magazines and books that we've put out that would stand up just shoulder to shoulder with anything else, any other paying market out there. In my opinion, I'm very proud of the stuff that we have.
I'm proud of it, and at the same time, it's we've always made it clear. It's like we plan on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the point. We plan on it. It's like if we started paying when we were in our infant stages, then we wouldn't be around.
Right.
Yeah.
We'd have boom,
like
2 issues, and then we'd be done because I have to pay mortgage. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I have to pay rent, food. It's like it's all came out of our own pocket until it's enough to be in.
And like you can do, like you say, you can do anything if you're honest about it. It's like you can send us a story. We're not going to pay you. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you sent a story. Okay, great. You're obviously okay with that then. Great. If enough people are okay with it, then it keeps going. And then it's like, well, fine. Like you say, if you're not okay with it, don't do it. But it's, like I said, this filmmaking club thing, I started it and I love it, and I'm trying to spend like as much of my time possible doing it, and then just keep adding tasks to it and stuff. And last year, basically, I started it and I was like, look, guys, this is that. Dustin, both of you gave me the voiceover actually for that little first film I made.
Yeah.
For free, I might add. And but like I made that film and I was like, look, this. I showed it to people. I was like, do you want to start a club? This is the very best I can do. And I just showed them on my laptop because I think they were going they were like, oh, okay, I think I've got a friend who's a film producer. We should call him. We should get that involved. We should establish a company. Let's get make. And I was like, what are you going to tell them? A guy who owns an iPhone, like who pointed that at himself one day. I literally don't know how to do this, but it's okay because I'm not pretending I do. Let's do it anyway. So,
and that's half the fun. Like that's
if you're honest about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, our whole thing when we started was let's do something and let's try to create a community of new writers.
Yeah.
So we were the first to publish a lot of new writers. Like that's their first thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's awesome because we see some of them, and now there's some of them are coming out with novels with actual like decent publishers, and and I've seen them on like really big anthologies with really big names, and it's just cool being like, we published their first short story on our little dinky website the first month we were open, and now I'm going to see hopefully I'll see that name in 10 years and they have a New York Times bestseller and there's a movie adaptation. And we can go, We published that guy's first fucking 2,000 word story. You know what I mean?
Way back when.
You set them off on a journey, like,
It's exposure and experience for everybody involved.
And it's that, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the...
confidence.
Validation?
Validation.
There you go.
Oh, is it A?
It's validation. They feel validated in their writing skills because they were published.
I think I forgot it because you forgot it. I was like, God, no, okay. I get
Weird.
hypnotized into forgetting it.
Stream of consciousness. Really crappy stream of consciousness.
It's the first draft,
That one time 4 writers were sitting around in a podcast and forgot a word.
If you saw my first drafts, because I write by hand, a lot of times I can't remember a word, and then it's just underlined with a small description. It'd be like, it gives them their first, and I'd sit there for a while, and I don't want to stop writing, so I go, the confidence in yourself, blah, 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 and I circle it, underline it, and then when I go back to type it up is when I have the thesaurus up.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I forgot the word because I was just trying to figure out what the heck you were thinking about. But anyway.
I was telling Chris, he got here about 10-15 minutes before we started. I was telling him how I drank way too much last night. I ate a bunch of brisket, I ate a bunch of ribs and collard greens, and I have like both a meat hangover and an alcohol hangover this morning. So I believe I've composed myself and seemed very intelligent up until a couple minutes ago.
It'll be okay.
I think you got away with it, yeah.
Okay. If not, we'll just call it eccentricism. Is that a word? Mm-hmm. I'm eccentric, eclectic. You guys are haters.
You can be whatever you want to be. I believe in you. Cool.
So, do you have any other projects besides your film, like writing projects, Leo?
Oh, yeah. I have a novella coming out at the end of this month. I have another novella coming out maybe next year. But the thing, I think it's a novella. I don't know. I've spent like 8 years on it. I don't know what to call it. And like we were talking about,
is the one that's called like Mivu? I think I saw your post. Grieve. I knew there's a V in there. Weird. So yeah.
Yeah. I spent a really long time on it, and I'm still just like, maybe if anyone. I only spent 8 years on it. Maybe you feel like it. No, I forget it. I was being silly. I'm really bad at self-promoting. It's about it's a piece of sci-fi. I've worked really hard on it. It's a really dense, weird, melancholy thing that I guess fans of my writing will like. I don't know. I put lots into it, and I don't really want to spoil or anything about it, but I'll have plenty to say about it with anyone who feels like doing so when it comes out. So I'm really excited about that. I have a story in Year's Best Hardcore Horror, which I think comes out like in the summer.
Nice.
So that's cool. That's really nice. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, just I'm trying to work on some short story collections, novels, black. You know how it goes. I don't know what's going to come out next.
I have 1,000 unfinished projects, so
we'll see.
I know. One thing that works for me is just announcing that something's going to come out, so I'm forced to do it. So like in the front of Where Dragonflies Dance, I announced that The Shepherd's Plight, the third one's coming out winter 2020, and I'm like 3/4 done without any editing or anything like that. So I'm like, well, that's the project I'm finishing first. So, I made the cover and announced the release date for Where Dragonflies Dance when I still had 8,000 words left to do without editing. But it was just one of those things where I did it and I was like, okay, here we go. And every day was 4 or 5 hours of finishing writing, editing. I ordered a proof copy, gave it to my wife, gave her a red pen. I said, read this, edit it. She did, went back, rewrote it from page 1 with her edits and changed up some other parts. And then I was like, this is where it's, like you said, leaving things unfinished. It was, it was coming up to a month before release date. And I was like, well, this is when I have to start sending out arcs. Usually I'd like to have way more time to send out arcs. I was like, but I was just going to let it sit there and die halfway done if I didn't announce to the world that it's coming out. So
yeah, it's like I said in my club as well. I'm like, we're not in the business of making perfect things. Please just show up, do your best. We'll, send out whatever we come up with, and we'll do better next time. What more can you ask?
Yeah, I'm just a deadline-driven person. I need the oh shit. You know what I mean? If it's like, I'll finish this when I finish it, it's never gonna get finished.
Yeah.
But if people are waiting on me, or if I give myself a guilt trip, that's the only way anything's gonna get done. So
I've lived my life disappointing people, so I'm used to that. So
Why deviate now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I said last year my sister called me and I just started a new project at work, and she was like, "How is it?" And I says, "I think I'm fucking up. I'm fucking up. I think I'm fucking upwards." She's like, "All right, okay, I think it's good then." It's gonna live my life by that.
Yeah,
upwards.
That's a good way.
It sounds like it should be a book of poetry. You should make that like a parody of Shel Silverstein. Falling Upwards, I think, was a book by.
There you go.
Yeah. Fucking Upwards. Just erotica poetry.
The fucking tree.
The fucking tree. I had one of those at my high school. It's behind the baseball diamond.
Story in there somewhere. That can be my D&D character, that tree. Just give it a leg.
Just a tree, yeah. Was that an int? Yeah, that's a race. It's called an int. You could be a walking tree that's just very perverted.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
You provide shelter to young juvenile couples that
I think I've got a branch to fit that one.
Oh dear.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry, Leo. You have a standard professionality, and we just destroyed it. And you're affiliated with us. So when we have our meetings to discuss business shit, it's about 20 minutes business shit, and then an hour and a half of this. And then it's always like, what did we discuss? What did we get done? I have my little notebook, and it's like magazine, and then like a line, and then like bullet points that are not filled out underneath it. And I'm like, shit, we got together and we didn't get anything done. We just chatted.
If you didn't know better, you'd almost swear we smoked the whole bowl.
We usually bring it back around.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Cool. Well, great talking to you guys. Thanks for setting up.
Yeah. Sorry, I know it's late over there. I'm about to start my day, so.
Well, I interrupted the latest episode of RuPaul, and there's like some major tea spill going on. One of these queens has done some shady shit behind the scenes, so I'm really keen to catch up on this.
Have you watched the fashion show on Netflix? That new one that's hosted by Tan France.
No. What is it?
I forgot what it's called.
Is there one? Okay.
Yeah, it's hosted by Tan France. I forgot what it's called. The wife and I just killed it. It's really good. I've been watching a lot of trash TV lately. That's my thing now, to decompress. Like a bunch of things I would never watch prior life. We watched the Love is Blind show, The Circle. We watched Rhythm and Flow. It's a rap competition on Netflix. I can't tell you how much I despise Cardi B. I don't understand what she's saying half the time, but yeah. Anyways.
Wow.
Well,
I try to watch good television.
You just gotta. Sometimes I don't want to think about story. I just want to see some just unintelligible trash.
Yeah,
it gives you hope.
It works actually. Yeah.
Jared Springer's not on anymore, so
it gives you hope, because if they can be successful doing that, for those of us who are actually trying to put out content.
Yeah.
So how's this, right?
It makes me feel hopeless because I'm not dumb enough to just do dumb things that people record.
I guess you could go that way with it if you want to.
So get this. The wife and I just watched the haunted house on Hill House or whatever.
The Haunting of Hill House?
Yes, that one.
Bro.
whatever it's called. Whatever it's called. Yeah, that one. So we watched that one. She liked it. I liked it. It was really good. I thought it was just really just great storytelling. Then we're like, okay, she wanted to keep up with that like sort of genre. She's like, all right, well, there's a number of things we could watch, right? Oh, because the other one we watched, we watched that kicked it off was Lock and Key.
I started that the other day, actually.
That one was so good. That sent us into Hill House. Then we watched season 1 of American Horror Story. So it was literally like a step down. Not just a step down. Slippery it was like slope. We just jumped off a cliff. So April liked it. I mean, it was okay, but I'm sitting there like, all right, I hope it gets better. I hope it gets better. Because here I am comparing it to Hill House, right? And then season 1 of Haunting or American Horror Story. It's like, okay, that was a thing, I guess. Because, yeah, I don't know. It was just comparing the two. You're talking about trash TV. That's what I felt like I just watched.
I'm going to start a trash TV podcast if anyone wants to join it, just so you guys know.
Oh,
I won't watch any of it.
I just found the show on YouTube. It's clips of like a UK show where it's like people go on first dates. And it's so good because I was like, God, I can't believe I'm so nervous about like being interesting because these people are so fucking stupid. Like, I can't believe they left the house and like went out like for dinner. It's incredible. God. See, I think that's the purpose of the show. You just watch and you're like, Jesus Christ, these people are dull, you know? It's great.
It gives you better. It's like, oh wow, I'm actually interesting.
I don't know.
No, definitely.
After a long day sometimes, because I like, science fiction shows and stuff like that. It's like after a long day, I don't want to try to keep like character arcs together and stuff. Unless the character arc is, did you see what that bitch said to that bitch behind that bitch's back? Damn. Crazy.
That's
4 years in. Like, just like the circle. Yeah. The circle is just, I don't know why I started watching that. I finished it, and my wife and I watched the reunion a year later afterwards. It's so cringy. Like, I love gruesome ass B body horror stuff. And I'll watch, like the most convincing, nail in the eyeball scene and be like, yeah. But then I see like someone talking about something else, like, oh, when I said I didn't like him to his face, I'm just like sitting on the couch like, oh, it's so cringy. It's so cringe. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tapping into something that apparently I'm not desensitized to yet, which is social interaction. I don't leave my house much. So. Drama. Yes. And I don't do that. So when I see that drama, I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah, the circle, they're just feeding them alcohol, and it's just a bunch of people trying to fuck each other. So
sounds great.
Yeah. I highly suggest it. It's a good couple watch. So if you and your husband want to sit down and watch that, you could just openly talk shit about everybody, and it just feels real good.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. Because another good one is the TikTok cringe memes on YouTube.
I have not encountered. I haven't dove in the TikTok world yet. I know it's like Vine.
You've got to get into the TikTok cringe memes on YouTube. That's our typical like we're way better than these people material. But yeah, I definitely need some. We're way better than these people is a lovely genre. No, because nobody admits it, right? They're just like, hey, I don't know why you would want to see this. It's like we all know we're trying to feel better than these people. Like, just say it.
That's why I call it trash TV. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to tell you I like it. So,
yeah,
because now my mom, when I go over to her house, she watches that 60 Day Fiance show, and I always used to be like, why do you watch shit like this? She's like, because I don't know, it makes me feel good about myself. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then we went out to dinner with her, and I was talking about that Love Is Blind show. My mom's like, oh, did you see the episode when she did that? And I was like, yes. And I was like, fuck, God damn it, I've become my mother. Like, I was like, I understand now why she watches this.
My sister Juana and I went to go see her. I think it was at Christmas. We were just like, Chloe, do you follow YouTube drama? And she was like, no, I educate children. I don't know anything. I was like, because did you see what Tati Westbrook said about James Charles? And she was like, that was ridiculous. And then he clapped back with a 15-minute video. I was like, oh, come on. I don't know anything about makeup, but I know all the makeup channel drama. Like, it's incredible. What was the one? Jacqueline Hill forgot to declare that her latest palette isn't vegan. Oof, cancelled. Yeah, such crap.
That's how I felt watching that Tan France fashion show. I know nothing of high fashion.
Yeah.
But I was all, ooh, that looks ugly. And then by the end of it, I was all, she's gonna put that type of material next to that pattern. I was like, fucking come on, bitch. Like, you should know better. I was like, what's happening to me? What's happening to me? I'm the jean and t-shirt guy. Like, what is happening to me? So, like,
there's a podcast. I'd listen to that. Yeah.
I talked to my wife. I'm no joke. Watching trash TV, hit record after the first bottle of wine, and then drink the second and third one while we talk. And just, even if it's just for us to listen back to ourselves being stupid, then that's what it's going to be. So we talk about it anyways. We could be talking about, future plans, goals, ambitions in life.
You don't have those.
No, I don't. I think she's done hearing about them.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We keep in touch as always.
Yep. And we'll let you get back to RuPaul.
I'll let you know what I think about Sherry Pie. She's getting kicked off. Oof. It's yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I haven't dove into RuPaul's yet, but
Sherry Pie,
dude.
That sounds like a
not a single person. Not a single person I've introduced it to has not. Like we introduced the show to somebody. Like you watch a few episodes and then you got to see them all. We introduced one of our friends to one of the series. We're like, oh, let's just watch season 3 again. It's good. She watched 3 episodes. She was like, wait, they do their own makeup and they sing and dance. And I was like, oh, she's got it. She's got it. She knows how talented they are. She's got to see the whole thing now,
My sister-in-law goes to a gay club in downtown Phoenix. It's a drag club, and she films for them now, like all their skits and their stuff like that. So I follow her on Instagram, and now I'm like, she's been doing it for like 6 months, and there's always like 35 minutes worth of videos every day because she goes every night. Now I'm like entrenched in like the Phoenix, Arizona drag drama that she records. And like, I'm familiar with the names of these people. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that was going to happen. So she's the self-proclaimed drag hag that's at every show. You know what I mean? So
see, I would start a drag club here if only I could get people to pay attention to anything before I they don't. So I don't think there's going to be a flourishing Stavanger drag club scene anytime soon. But
there's got to be some back alley, basement, speakeasy drag club somewhere. There's one in every city. There's got to be.
I'll look that up. All right. Have a great day.
You too, man.
You too.
Keep in touch. All right.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Okay, so that was my chat with Dustin, Medina, and Chris. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to get in touch, please just send an email to losingtheplotpodcast-at-gmail-dot-com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening, and until next time, cheers, bye.